and education. And if you're wanting or willing to come along the journey with us, we'd be so delighted and grateful. So enjoy your practice. We hope that your family, friends, your clients enjoy your practice as well. So, step number 1 on page number 60 is the opening prayer. An opportunity for her to collect ourselves, become an open, clear vessel, leaving our things outside and coming to the mat clear so that we can be here in exchange for the time that we're going to spend together. So, having the ability to be more clear, to be more receptive to the information that our clients' bodies will present to us over the course of the time. The instruction won't be perfect. There'll be times where I'll have to adjust because it's just myself, my daughter, and this camera. So not professional filming at hand, but we'll do our best. So do your best to stay with me and follow along. If you fall back or fall away, that's okay, because you can pause for a moment, catch up, and of course pause the video and hit repeat when necessary. So again, thank you for taking this time here. So we're coming into step number 2, which is called a walking palm press, where we take the whole open pads of our hands, being very careful not to drop our bony prominences, heels of hand, into their bony prominences, meaning ankles. So as we come in, we want to come into our client's leg space, so making sure that their legs are spread apart, wide enough that we can come in and sit comfortably with an erect spine and straight arms, so that these hands can start to surround the client's feet, ankles, and gently start palming our way over the feet, down towards the toes, gently pressing into the mat, checking in with the client's flexibility. This allows us our first glimpses to see how deep we can press into our clients, how much pressure and flexibility the clients have themselves. So above all else, we'll do no harm. So first begin light, but as you become more comfortable, you can afford yourself the opportunity to sink deeper into the tissues along the way. So, going to be starting on this left foot. Step number 3, we thumb press the feet on foot points. There's going to be 11 foot points that we will be paying attention to. We can see them in our book. Page number 61. There are 9. They begin under the small toe, 1 in the ball of the foot, 2 in the midline, 3 near the heel, 4 in the middle, 5, 6, 7, 8 at the midline, 9. And then we work our way back. And then on the top of the feet, above the knuckles, by the big toe and the first toe and the pinky toe and the last toe, there are soft spots that we just simply thumb circle away from each other. You can check that on your own feet, taking your time. Becoming your own client is wonderful as well. I spent a lot of time with this on myself to gather insights as in connectivity, gaining more awareness of what it might be like when I feel those tensions in my client and they talk about them. So coming to do these foot points, we're going to want to scoot away from the midline and more directly in line with the client's natural splay of the leg range of motion. It's usually less than 45 degrees, but just a natural first place. So whether or not I find a place to put that their leg on mine, I'm sitting back far enough that their foot isn't in my lap, right in the middle of my, maybe near my pelvis or on my belly. My back straight, my arms close to my sides, my thumbs together. I use my torso and core in a rocking motion to deliver those presses. That's 2 on that point number 1. Through each point. So I'm rocking 2 times per point forward and back, or in almost like a tornado, little circles to help me just rhythmically rock in and out, which comes to be our, calling to our pace and tempo of Thai massage, the rhythm. It's more like a continuous movement rocking, almost like a dance, they say. Could be like Tai Chi for the practitioner, and an assisted yoga practice, meditative yoga practice for the client. So through the course of that speaking, I have then backed my way out 9, 8, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'm at 1 again. On the top of the feet here, I'm going to spread my legs because I came to sit on my hips. And putting the foot down on the ground there, between my legs, I can circle the tops of the feet. 10 and 11. So this is a little foot series that we'll do on one side, and then we'll go to the other side. Same thing with everything else. We're going to go one side to the other side. So if things aren't comfortable for you, you just do the best that you can making it happen. If you have to sit cross-legged, your clients will become comfortable as you will with your flow. Just be gentle, slow, take your time. Thumb pressing the bottoms of the feet on the energy lines. You'll come to see on the next page, 62, step number 4, that basically our energy lines run in straight paths from the heel out through the toes, and from the, there's a fossa in front of the foot. It's kind of like a gushing well point. From that soft place in front of the ankle, they run straight out over the toes. Very easy visuals. So whether or not, depending on size differential, weight of that leg, you may need to keep the foot on the leg and continue with gentle rocking. Now, we can do 1 and 5, 2 and 4, and the center line, so that we can be bilateral and it feels connected. You can rock into it and connect through the body a little bit more deeply. Or I've seen it that people take the foot up here and do them, or depending on how much time you really have, you can do those lines individually. So that was the bottom. The top goes down between the legs again. That way the shoulders aren't up in the ears while you're working. And I'm thumb circling through and over 2 at a time. 1 and 5, 2 and 4, and then I'm going to go over that center line. But what I'm also doing is being more gentle on the top of the foot and trying to get in between those bones. So I go off the bone and kind of into the sides to make it feel good. Number 5, we're going to pull each toe, and they say to crack the knuckles, which we don't do. It's just an energetic pull, and sometimes if you allow your fingers to come right off the toes, it makes a little bit of a noise. But we are simply massaging the toes, top and bottom, the sides, above and below the knuckles, maybe little circles, and then a little tug. So making our way from the little toe all the way to the big toe, doing that massage on the top and bottom with the circles and the little tug. I'm going to get through all of them there, so I'm at the big toe. I like a little extra tug on that toe. So within the book, stretching the foot and an ankle rotation come next in step 6 and 7, and then we're to repeat this on the other foot. Sometimes directly going for a foot pull, it can seem kind of intense, so there are going to be natural places through the course of Thai massage where things become intuitive. Like, I'm going to rotate this ankle to see what kind of flexibility the client has, if there's any separation in the ankle joint. Either way, for the foot pull, the stretching of the foot, we want to keep the ankle safer and more secure by holding on to that ankle bone, that malleolus, rather than just grabbing the foot, because that will really give it a pull. And some people have weak ankles and it'll pop. Hurts some people, doesn't hurt others, so you just kind of have to see. But to be more aware of it, if you hold the ankle bone and pull the leg, you get more stretch out of the body. When you take your other hand So left hand to left leg, right hand around the top there, and I'm holding the interior arch of her foot, and with a nice leaning back of myself, I simply lean back on her malleolus and then give a gentle rotation of the foot to the outside. It gives the leg a stretch and a rotation, not only in the foot, but all the way up into the hip. So switching hands, right hand under to the ankle, cross the top of the foot, I'm going to start moving towards the midline because I'm going to be headed off to the other side if I looked ahead in my routine or remembered what was coming. So I'm starting to move, but so I can also line her leg up better for an internal rotation. If the leg's too far out to the side, they don't feel it as much, but if we bring it more in line with the hip like they're walking, we can get a better feeling and stretch coming right out of the hip, the lower back, and down the leg. So now through the course of all of this, this is just our beginning instructional, but those stretches, our breath, we're starting to become more aware of our breath, our posture, and then becoming more in tune with their breath in these postures as well. So some of our stretches will become more in tune with their breath. So this foot is not well placed for the camera, so I'm not going to get at it the same way I did on this side. I'm going to bring it more to the midline just so I can instruct it again, okay? So again, going back to just step number 3 through 7, we're going to thumb press the bottom of the foot. So again, here's a foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. We're on the top. So coming in, I might double up those thumbs and rock forward. So we're going to rock forward 2 times. Now you can also do this one bilaterally by doing the outside one. So 1 and 7. So I'm going to do that. 1 and 7, 2 and 8, 3 and 9. So there's 1 and 7. I'm going to give them 2 rocks. That was 2 and 8, 3 and 9. And then both of my thumbs there, you can see in the middle, 4, 5, and 6. And then we'll make our way back out. So, and I did it quickly there. I just kind of went 1, 2, 3 on my way out. So bring yourself back out. Now remember, placing that foot down between the legs. 10 and 11 are on top. So you can kind of see that circle in. And the bottom, we have those lines on the bottom of the feet again. So again, from the heel, straight lines out. We can do them both at the same time. So this is up in the air. The leg is kind of heavy. So maybe I like to come in. And again, you want to keep a safe distance from your pelvis and really lock your arms into your torso and use your core to be moving and pressing forward so that you have a deep connectivity to yourself and that action and their motion. So the top of the foot, again, between the legs, circles into that fascia, softening up the tissue, and then making our way out over the toes. And activating all the energy lines. Beginning clarifying energy and stimulating energy from the bottom up. Reflexology. And then I have to massage each toe, step number 5. Reflexology, maps like Chinese medicine, if you want to reference that. Each toe, again, is a massage on the top and the bottom and the sides. Circles with a little tug. Middle toe. Again, if keeping up isn't very easy, we can always pause the video and go through sections again. So again, 6 and 7, we have rotating the ankle, maybe testing it out, seeing if we have looseness. And then from underneath, I'm going to grab the malleolus and wrap my left hand around the top. And again, lean back and give that stretch to the outside. Okay. And then maybe another breath and her exhale. And then I'm going to lean towards the center line, switching my hands. Again, malleolus, wrap around to the outside of the foot. My thumb's there as well. And then leaning back. Okay. And then we rotate that ankle on the way down just to shake things out. And we're going to come into the midline. Moving into bilateral stretching of the feet and the ankles, step number 8. There's a few different ways we can move the feet. And so they're happening at the same time here. I'm backing out and away. In our books, most everything is done from a kneeling posture, which I'm going to try to do. But depending on your size and the differential, some things have to be done from standing. So there may be a couple times where I pop into standing and you won't be able to see my head, but you don't need that. So you get plenty of it right now. But yeah, so from here, he's on his knees, but I've come to appreciate a toe stand. If you're used to it, it gives you kind of a break, and it also helps get you out of the way a little bit so that you can make this happen a little bit easier. It's not necessary, again, it's always making it happen, whatever makes it comfortable for you. So her feet are coming in line with her legs, and we're just stretching the tops of the feet coming down. Some people's feet touch the mat, some people's definitely don't. So a little rotation, I'm going to press these feet up towards the ceiling, almost like she's going to take a step. And I do that with the heels of my hand, and I really press in. And so I'm going to press in first, and then I'm going to try to stretch those toes, rolling my fingers and hands over. So hopefully you saw that down there. So up as much as possible, and this is where the toe stand helps me get behind it a little bit more. It's a little bit more active. And then we're going to take these feet just to the midline, 1 and 2, and maybe switch them and allow foot on top of foot. So, and then maybe palming out to the side. We're going to be walking into palm pressing the legs, which is step number 9. So coming back in, we're going to want to be in place where we can come up into tabletop to be able to work. The palm presses, again, we don't want to drop the heel of our hand into any bony prominences, which is going to be like the tibia. No direct pressure at the knees, and we'll want to be careful getting up into the femur, into the quads. This is always a place where we kind of end up strumming and finding our friend's sensitivity. So just take it easy at first and then start to offer a little bit more pressure. So these palm presses, my hands are fully connected to her tissue as well. My fingers aren't out. It's not like a bump, bump, bump. I'm just applying this thing to her. I'm staying with her. I'm keeping my hands completely wrapped so that there's complete connection. My tissue, her tissue, that not only what I am pressing on the interior of the calf there, the interior energy lines we're going to come to here in a moment, but I am also sending that energy over the tibia and into those fingers on the other side. Now, we have to be careful that we're not squeezing back too much, because that's not necessarily what this is about. It's more of continuing to send the energy out in that direction. There are other schools of thought where there is, in other actions, things that will pick up, which would be a gentle pull back of the tissue. But for the most part, we're pressing out to the side. This is very widely used palm press and Thai massage, opening up the tissues, walking with it, and continuous movement. So the knees, because there is no direct pressure, I did circles on the way up and in, and you define the patella and get around, and it all feels good, like you're washing that clean. And we continue to palm press our way out. So again, you can pause at any time and spend time with things you might need to, feel like you might need to. So again, being well aware that some of these things aren't going to be visually great. I'm going to be teaching in a little different kind of way. So we'll do our best. You'll probably get more out of this one because of the video and the space crunch than in class. So, because I'm kind of more continuously structured while in class. So we're going to be coming up to the leg line area. So energy lines of the leg. We're not necessarily going to need to use their names. We're going to say inside 1, inside 2, inside 3, same thing outside 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to show you the segments here. It's best to know that we are using energy lines to begin our practice, and the fact that they become, we're using segments now, and the fact that they become lines, and they do have names, and they have a great healing system connected to them, energetic system connected to them, and how they interrelate with our yoga poses and our symptoms and stressors. But for today, simple. So we're going to be addressing them in an A, B, C, B, A pattern, which is a stretch. We're going to palm the area. We're going to thumb press our energy lines together. And then after we do that, we address the lines, then we palm it out, and then we'll give it a little stretch to say goodbye, and then we do that same repetitive thing on the next section, A, B, C, B, A. So remember that. Stretch, palm press, energy lines, palm press, stretch. It's a system and a way of massaging people that no matter what section of the body you're on, you have that as a go-to. It's a form of massage. You stretch it, see what's going on, palm it out, you get a little more information, address the energy lines, see what's congested or left in there, and then okay, you palm it out and you stretch. And that's information for later for the bigger stretches and things that we'll come to. So energy lines, we're going to be working with 2 on the inside and 3 on the outside. So for your reference, they are in the book and you can check it out. Page number 68. It's not the best for the inside lines, that's why I'm going to show you, and 670 for the outside. So inside the leg, we are going to be looking at, there's my fancy leg. The front of the malleolus is where we're working, and you're going to drop, like dive into, you're going to follow this line, diving into the gastrocnemius edge, so you feel the bone turn into the softness of the tissue, and you're slowly working that away until you come up into the little corner of your knee. So it's the medial edge there of the patella that comes up to the upper corner of the patella here. And there's a muscle here from your patella straight into your hip. It's called a rectus femoris. And actually, we're going to have an energy line on the inside and outside of our hip bone, inside and outside one, that goes right over the knee. So these are going to mirror each other, okay? Inside, outside one. So inside one comes from the inside of the patella straight up towards that hip bone, but we don't go up to the hip bone. We're going to conserve and reserve our femoral artery plexus area, femoral triangle, being conservative. As new practitioners might be getting into the practice, we definitely don't want to get close to the pelvis and the genitals. We want to conserve that space. Staying down into the bulk of the tissue, to the bulk of the adductor muscles is fine. When you get the hand in there, it's usually enough, especially for first timers. So we're coming and making our way up into the bulk of that tissue, and then we make our way back down. And I say all that preparatory stuff about the pelvis and the genitals because line number 2 comes behind the malleolus. It's going to be your inseam of your pants. So if you have a good pair of yoga pants, you can line it up and you can cut that gastrocnemius belly. It's a lateral posterior, medial posterior edge of the leg that comes right to the side of the knee and right through the side of the adductors and goes straight up towards the pelvis, like where they attach. So again, here you want to like visualize a hand length away and stop in the bulk of the tissue when you're making your way up here, and palm presses and your fingers. Okay, so ethical rules, give people space. So we'll bring that back out. So that's inside 1 and 2 that I'm going to be working on here. And then there's 3 lines for the outside. So hopefully you've been checking these out and feeling them out on yourself. If not, please join me. So the outside line number 1 is in front of that fossa and the tibia, and you'll feel the tibialis anterior. Again, you're slowly diving away from the tibia into that muscle, tibialis anterior, like I said, to the corner of the patella, gently making your way up. This is, again, lining the rectus femoris, making its way to the outside of the hip bone. So a lot of times I look visually, kind of draw myself a line and go back down and then trace that. Now I also come up and touch the hip. I'll show you so I know where that hip is and come back down. Now as far as the outer 3 lines go, we can actually come up towards that hip bone and get into the glutes. It's less intimidating to our clients to go this high, and it feels really good. If you really don't know somebody, you might want to ask them if you can reach this high. So number 2 is technically your outseam, right? Cuts the leg in half. So you kind of start on the malleolus, working your way up the fibula, getting the muscles soft. You'll notice they're probably pretty tight. You come right through the side of the knee and then up into the IT band. And that goes up to the femur, head of the femur, and then you'll find some, like the attachment points of gluteus medius and minimus. And we'll go right back down. So number 3, lateral posterior edge of the leg. It's actually what's laying down on the ground in Savasana. So from here, it is kind of near the soft of the Achilles. You'll feel the edge of the gastrocnemius, and then you'll feel like the hamstrings. You can see it's not behind my knee, it's like on the side. So the side lateral posterior edge comes up to the glutes. I have to squat a little bit so you can still see it. And you'll know, I usually say those are the money spots. They feel good. And then you come back down. So for now, we work on the 2 inside and the 3 outside. For your reference, later there will be the inside 3rd line that comes from the sit bone all the way down to the Achilles. So we'll talk about that later as it comes in later in the massage. So here we go. On our clients, normally in class, I instruct bringing the leg out to the side. You'll notice if your mat or whatever you're working on is too small, you can put a pillow out to the side and then have something for them to lean onto. I'm going to show you my posture as it is shown in the book, is to come interior to the legs. So you open it up just enough to give yourself a diamond stance inside so that you can do this stretching ABCDA. But because the video is so awkward and you can't see what I'm doing, I'm going to show you from another school of thought. Saving space. I'm coming to the outside of this leg, and instead of being in more of a diamond stance, I'm going to end up being in a little bit more of a tabletop. So her leg is at about normal distance away. Our stretch, our palms are going to be moving away from each other, butterfly palms we call them. And we're coming to the ankle bone, but we're also going to be coming, again, conserve. Here's the femoral triangle. I can see where the pelvis is at. Hand length away, I'm going to stay in the bulk of the tissue here. So from here, the stretch will roll out and at the foot. We're also at this point in time kind of watching our client's breath. So with their breath, we give them a nice couple exhales. And I'm gentle to include the foot and not press into the bone. Sometimes if you move your hands just a little bit, it offers a little bit of a different tissue stretch. I'll have to keep straightening out my spine, excuse me. Starting at the bottom, palm pressing. All the way up, gentle around the knees again, so little circles. And then through the top. So again, stopping and just coming down. So These palm presses aren't super small. They're more like 1, 2, 3, get around the knee, into the thigh, bringing our way back down, okay? We're going to go in and out of the body several times, touching every body part a couple times, so things are a little bit more rhythmic, fluid, trying to touch on all of the body, but not necessarily like that. So try to keep fluid. It's the alternating of palm presses, not like oomph, 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 oomph. It's the alternating of palm presses that keeps everything fluid and rocking and very nice and gets the fascial connective tissues to warm up and move with you better and for the client better. So the energy lines, I'm going to find her malleolus. My thumb presses are with flat thumbs, maybe here. Sometimes we tuck them in like little shiatsu hands because we're not used to it yet. We have a lot of work to do to make sure that our thumbs are protected and strong. So from here, I'm going to lean forward and find that line. Again, it is right there next to the tibia, and I'm walking my way up, finding the patella, the corner there. I can see her hip bone and where those two lines would be. So I'm only going to go up about this far. So hopefully you can see that. It's only about a 12 inches or so. So, and my thumb presses there, they alternate. I just slide and meet, slide and meet, slide and meet. And then I'm going to bring them back down. Energy line number 1. So, no, this class isn't a perfect replacement. An online class for things in classes in person so that you can feel these things and just check in and make sure that things are correct. So my students will make sure to be in class, of course, double checking. So I'm continuing up the second line, which was finding the malleolus and the soft spot by the Achilles, working my way up what would be that inseam of the gastrocnemius. I found the knee, I'm doing circles, and I am continuing up the adductors, and again, I see that hand length away, and that's it. I'm just working my way back out. Gentle at the knee again. I'm kind of up and down on my hips because I really want to make sure that you have the opportunity to see that. Palming it out. And this is something where body posture, you know, again, making it happen, make sure your spine's straight. Okay, so I palmed out, palmed in, and a stretch. Gentle stretch. Okay, so that was inside 1. Now I'm going to show you the outside on this leg because it's right here. And then I'll go over and do that side. So a little confusing, but some schools will do this as well. Just continue moving from where you are and then basically inside, outside, and then you turn around and do outside, inside. But my students, you stay on that same leg. So if I were done on the left leg with transition, let's see, if I were in here, then I would come to the outside. We want to line this leg up like we were walking again and come to the outside with our diamond stance. And then from here, well, let me show you. The stretch is going to happen a little bit differently. So this hand, we still want the hip to go out at a diagonal, but the foot is supposed to rotate to the inside. So this one's a little bit more awkward for us as a practitioner. So from here, we come up on top here again. I see the pelvis, I'm a hand length away, I'm not in the hip. I'm holding the thigh down as I come to the ankle bone, the malleolus, and try to rotate towards the midline. Some people have more rotation here than others. You just got to check it out. Some people will feel it more than others. You just try it, see what happens. And then there's my stretch. I think I'm going to continue. So I'm going to palm press here. You can see I'm kind of up and down, palming, and then the palm press is here for the side of the leg get a little bit different. You actually kind of have to lean in and do palm circles to the side, almost like you're, I don't want to say washing. My hands are always firmly planted on the tissue, moving it around. but it's a nice circle and it washes out a wide area of the tissue, blood flow, circulation. So palming it out, warming it all up. So I already described where the outside lines are, but I'm going to do it again. So follow along either on your client or yourself. I'm sorry you can't see this as well. So I'm going to stick with this leg. So that I do the left leg first for my students, inside, outside, and then we're going to do the right side, inside, outside. All right. So in front of the malleolus, I'm in diamond stance. I'm actually close enough to keep her ankle in place so it doesn't flip and flop. Thumb presses, I'm coming in to be on the outside of the tibia. So again, you find that bone and you dive into the soft tissue that's there. And you can see I gently slide my thumbs up. Right now I'm thumb circling my way past the patella. And when I get to the top corner of the patella, I look for the hip bone and then I kind of draw my way so I know where I'm going, to the outside of that hip bone. So from here, thumb presses again, just kind of making my way up. And again, you could go all the way up to the outside of the hip bone. It's okay. It gets very sensitive though, and your client can get kind of ticklish, so be careful. All right, making my way back out, being gentle, delicate there at the knee, and then the front of the lower leg there can accept quite a bit of pressure, so you could come down on it. I'm going to sit down, bending my right leg towards the hip, and I'm going to use my left foot to hold her left foot so that it doesn't flip-flop around again on me. So I can access lines 2 and 3. And I place myself that whole leg is in front of me, not down too low. I see a lot of people down here and then you're trying to reach up there, you know, or like way up here and you can't quite get that. So make sure that the whole of the leg's accessible. And then you start in. And that depends, like sometimes people's legs are bent or straight. Out here, holding the bone, not necessarily the foot, is what's better, because then the leg rotation and you're saving the ankle from any unnecessary pressure there. So line number 2, I gently support myself by holding on with my fingers some, walking my hands again up the out seam of the pants, out of the knee into the IT band. Just gentle thumb circles. I've found the head of the femur, and I've even gone up into the glute medius minimus attachments, and I'm making my way back down. Usually a very sensitive place. You don't want to go just strumming in there very quickly. You want to be gentle on those presses. So at the end. Number 3, behind the malleolus, soft part near the Achilles. Again, if I let her foot go, this is the part like it's laying in Savasana. So it's the lateral posterior edge of the leg coming up behind the knee. I'm starting to find the hamstrings. And I will rotate my hands this way, up, up, up into the glutes because it'll be easier to access. And then bring back down, I can start switching back into my thumbs for the lower part. And then after we do the 3 energy lines, we palm it out, and then we're going to stretch. So A, B, C, B, A pattern. Inside of the leg, outside of the leg. Then we're going to do it for the inside of the leg again. I'm going to repeat it, and then to the outside of the leg. So here is that final stretch again. We want to come up into the hip, kind of plant it down first, and then rotate the lower leg as we can. If you do it the other way, it doesn't feel as good. You can try it and just ask, maybe even ask your client to do it for you if you're new at this together and just trying things out, some new massage techniques. So coming out from this side, I'm going to be coming back into the middle, maybe making sure she's all straightened out, and then I'm going to take that right leg out to the side just a little bit. Grab another pillow so it's available. And again, my diamond stance would take me in a little closer. My upper knee is close to that thigh so that I can make the whole stretch available. I'm not just squat down by the knee, so we want to, but I'm not all the way up in there. There's still a hand length from my knee to the pelvis, as well as where I will stop. So Again, ABCBA, around the malleolus, upper thigh, and I notice her breath, couple stretches, and now I'm palming up, gentle circles around the knee, up into the quads, the heel of my hand as low as the adductors or line number 2. So at the bottom, I'm finding that malleolus again, diving into the soft tissue near the tibia, making my way up towards the patella, finding that upper corner and even looking for that hip. Okay, I'm coming up for your hip. And then noticing what that line is. So depending on how tall they are, how long you are, you might have to come up out of your hips so you can maintain a straighter back and maybe deliver better pressure. So coming down, I am working my way out 1 again. Down at the bottom, release energy. We come back down into 2, malleolus. Behind it, Achilles. Okay, I found the interior line of the pants. The gastrocnemius edge, finding the interior of the knee and making my way up through the adductors. Again, I'm going to stop where I see a hand length there, comfort, bringing it back down. And out. Comes next, palm it out. And then butterfly stretch to the upper thigh, lower leg. I'm even going to start my transition so that I can sweep out, line up, and now be ready for the outside leg. So I transitioned, right? And moving into ABCBA. Again, it's awkward on this side. The top hand has to sit in the thigh first, plant, and then rotate the foot. So thigh underneath, little stretch. Again, try to get a hold of the malleolus and the ankle bone with the hand maybe over the foot some, so the foot gets some stretch. But again, you don't want to just drop into the ankle. It can be soft and flexible on some people, or painful on some. So that was our stretch. I'm going to sit down for the palm press, working my way through. And again, from the side here, it turns into circles. We can get all the way up to the hip, working it way back down. Nice. So, if I were to hold with my knee here, again, thumb presses, here's the fossa in front of the foot, and then I'm finding the tibia edge and diving down again into the tibialis anterior, that soft tissue, and up into that T of the tibia, soft circles around the patella edge, finding that external corner, and then the hip, I see it again, so I'm going to make my way up, thumb presses. And so also to be concerned, as you come up towards the upper part of the hip here, you can see my fingers are very close to the pelvis. So we tuck our fingers in and continue along our way. And then I can find the Tensor fascia lata, which is super wonderful to get into. It's definitely locked down from sitting and driving and even too many forward folds. We really have to open that up. Spend some more time opening up the front of our hips there with our psoas. So that was number 1, in and out. I'm sitting down for number 2, holding that ankle. And again, it's the out seam, so I find the malleolus. I'm tracing the fibula. I can feel some tension. Okay, the side of the knee picks up and into the IT band. And then all the way up over the head of the femur, bringing it back down. So just for our intent and purposes, we're just continuing to walk with our thumb presses. In the future, as you find tensions, you can spend a little bit more time working them out. So behind the ankle, into the malleolus, or I'm sorry, into that soft part near the Achilles, I'm walking up that lateral posterior edge of the gastrocnemius. And again, that part that is the Savasana line for yogis. So coming up into the glutes. I'm bringing it back down. So again, I turned into my fingers and then into my thumbs to finish. After you do your energy lines, we palm them out. Warming and assimilating some of that decompression. And I'm going to come back up for those stretches so that I can be in position for transition. So a few stretches there. And again, trying to be careful of that ankle. I'm going to take her body there into a nice Savasana, a neutral pose. And when we're getting into our books, we skip like what's called opening the wind gate for this for now. It's a cleansing process of blocking the blood flow so that everything can rinse. But instead, we can do another series of palm presses up the legs and back down to also take care of rinsing out the tissues in a little bit more gentle way. Blocking the blood flow can stimulate high and low blood pressure, also possibly get blood clots moving or find heart murmurs and flutters. So it is something that a lot of people conserve and don't necessarily practice. So we will not practice it here for now. So thank you for that. We are going to be walking and making our way into our figure 4 walking palm press. Excuse me. Step number 17. So just making sure that I stay on task. I have a book because I like to go off and do my own thing in life. So I'm coming over here to support her foot and ankle as I come over to bend her knee into position to look like tree pose, figure 4. So depending on our client, most of our clients are probably generally healthy, generally flexible and capable. But if they come to you with tensions, we might have knee pains, low back pains, we might need to have these pillows around for support. Meaning if their hip's really tight, we might need to put in a pillow just to support it, and then we can continue with our presses. As they become more flexible, of course, that can come out. And range of motion, I'll describe a few more things here as we go along. So the leg here comes up to whatever's comfortable. Don't over press it. We're placing ourselves towards the end of the knee and coming in for gentle palming, rocking back and forth. I'm going to tuck my thumbs as I come up, but we're rolling open the tissues of those inside 2 energy lines, 1 and 2. So from here, hands can be out. It's going to be functionally easier to perform as the book might show you with the hands in. If you try both ways and speak with your client, you'll see that this one will deliver more pressure through the heels of the hand, which isn't necessary. A lot of times this is better and more comforting for the client. But start with double palms, and then maybe after they're all warmed up, you can give them a bilateral press and stretch. But coming towards the midline, we're going to be doing a figure 4 hip stretch. So that is starting closer to the knees, slowly walking your way up towards the hips, and starting again about a hand length away from the pelvis. I'm going to do a bilateral stretch, which is slow presses on my way back out towards the knees. Okay. Number 19, paddle boat. I'm sitting my butt down into alignment with her torso for the moment. Our legs, it's page number 75 and step number 19, we're going to paddle boat on inside number 3. So this is the first time we're seeing that inside number 3 and we're stimulating it. We haven't touched on it yet. So, and later in the practice we will get to it fully. So our legs are going to be doing the same thing, like both of our left legs are bent, right leg straight. I'll show that in a moment. I'm going to reach underneath her ankle to hold on. I'm going to use my right leg behind her left knee to press it out to the side so that her leg is at 90 degrees from her torso. But that makes it so that I'm not in the right place, so I have to scoot over in alignment with that leg and then forward so that I'm in position with bent enough leg that I can, again, continue to hold under her ankle, sit nice and tall. I'm supporting with my right foot, and then use my left foot to palm. So stretch inside 3, out to the side, palm it with the whole of my foot. If you have to hold somebody still, you can hold onto their leg here. But then right through the center line, right through the middle of the hamstrings, we can send our heel. So that would be like pressing on inside number 3. So depending on your client, you can really press and it'll feel really good, whatever you've got there. All the way up to the sit bone, probably, but again, maybe a hand length away from the pelvis. That way you know you're safe with men and women. So palm it out, and then I'm going to be walking the feet to the midline of the thigh. And depending on the client's flexibility, if they're healthy, their leg will come across both your legs. If their knee flexibility isn't quite there, then maybe it stays between your legs, or maybe it just stays out to the side. But if the leg comes across, we have to scoot up so that we can reach outside line 1. So basically, like our foot becomes a sandwich in here, foot sandwich. We're going to pull on outside line 1. So we're reaching across to the outside of the thigh and pulling towards us with our fingers. So towards us. And then if we see that our client can accept a little bit more pressure, then we can push our toes and our fingers towards each other and squeeze the leg. So next, a tie fist, gentle closed fingers. And with the flats of our knuckles here, we just tap the inside 1 of the thigh, inside 2 of the thigh, just gentle stimulation, getting everything kind of waking it up, getting things circulating, and then that's it, coming on out. So I'm slowly making my way into position to create leg traction, which isn't going to be easy for everybody. It's always fun in class. There's different ways of creating leg traction. So right now, I have moved my hips just over a little bit. And I'm going to need to keep my other foot out of the way, so wherever that's most comfortable. I'm going to use my right foot to help lift up her leg. So right now she's at 90 degrees there from, her leg is standing, her thigh is standing straight up. My foot, I have to rotate to the outside, and with the foot pull hands from earlier, the malleolus in the top, we can give a gentle pull and traction at the knee, which is a little bit of leg traction, a little pressure on the thigh, but then we can move the foot down a little bit, a little more leg traction, and then down here near the hips, we keep our heel on the ground, we find their sit bone, and what we try to do is keep our foot up, toes back, get their leg up over the ball of our foot, and press and pull. So we kind of press a little bit into their sit bone with our foot, or just stabilize as we lean back. And this should lift the hip up, pull the hip a little bit out of its socket. There are different ways of doing this that are more or less effective for different people, so definitely something to check in with. We will show it again. So I'm going to slowly come out. We're shaking this leg to relax, and then we're doing a hip rotation. So the usual routine. I've been doing this for a while. So I'm shaking to relax, and I'm coming up. I'm going to be moving into here. So give me a second. I'm going to move this to here, maybe a hair, and so coming in, I'm going to do hip rotation. Hip rotation. So her leg's at 90. I'm at 90 degrees next to her. Again, this is where my head starts getting cut off. And we're going to use more of our torso. I need to be close enough that I can use my core and torso to give her a few rotations of the hip. Going across the midline in smaller to larger circles will probably make the client comfortable, but you also want to turn the other direction. Go both ways. Then we're going to turn this into hip flexion and a quad stretch. So if the client's knee isn't flexible, you can hold onto the thigh and start to create this, and as things start to flex, you can press the leg in as well. But with our generally healthy client, we're going to want to compress the lower leg to the thigh as much as possible. I'm going to be standing in a lunge. We're going to want to be in a lunge to the side for the duration of the next few stretches. So stay to the side, try not to get up and walk around. Palm press, our butterfly palms. I'm going to try to hold this leg down and press that knee into alignment towards the side torso, towards the ear. They're breathing and stretching. So maybe 3 good deep breaths per stretch that are upcoming. If you have the time, you can spend a lot more time in them. But each breath obviously allows the client to figure out where you're going, know where you're going, and then go ahead and sink into it and relax deeper. So leg stretch, hip flexion, and quad stretch there. All right, and then we're going to go into hamstring stretch. So I'm here a little bit closer. My outer leg can support her leg, so I'm that close. Now in the book, this foot comes to the shoulder. I'm going to hold her leg and then just simply sink forward. She's breathing deep already. 2, 3 breaths. But then as somebody becomes more flexible, this foot can reach your shoulder, and you can grab the foot, the toes, and increase the stretch. You can even get behind the heel and press their leg away from you if they're really that flexible. So all that for a hamstring stretch, okay? Hamstring stretch turns into a hip stretch or a lateral rotation. So my foot is going to move out to the side a little bit as her knee falls out to the side. So again, I'll do this on the other side, so hopefully it can be clear as well. But then holding that straight leg, gentle hold at that other knee, we're just lunging out to the side. Now, depending on your client, you may palm press the inner thigh there for a few breaths. 1, 2, 3. And this lateral hip stretch, this starts turning into looking like a yoga class where we take that left foot across that right leg now for a spinal twist. Now, spinal twists, nice things, but we really want to make sure the hip stretch first and that we don't go straight into the back, and we're not chiropractors, so we're not moving very fast. So I've placed her foot over where it's comfortable, flexible. If somebody isn't, you can put it at top of the knee or onto the inside of the knee, which is fine. So to the outside of the thigh here, I am going to allow her to sink into the twist as she exhales. As she continues to go across, I can come in and cup the shoulder, being careful not to sink the blade edge of my hand into the tissue, but holding the shoulder so that that doesn't come up off the mat as we slowly get that knee, thigh, and hip to stretch away from the spine. So primary stretch in the hip. Maybe things start to pop and crack, but that's okay. If it happens slow and on their time, it's all them. So a few good breaths that way. So we're going to always adjust clothes for our clients. Coming in, we're going to be moving slowly into like a runner's stretch, quadricep stretch. It's a medial rotation of the hip. And we want to be fairly specific as we're going in and out the way we came in to this stretch, just to protect the knee. Just don't move too fast, and you know, do it a few times even on yourself to see how that movement can feel, if you're, you know, pulling out of it a little too soon or a little too deep into it. So also something that might need support, so I'll grab a pillow here in a moment. So the sacrum needs to sit perpendicular to the ground, and I'm going to hold it that way for a while until it needs to start moving. I've grabbed the lower leg and the ankle, and we have to press the leg up and keep it very, very close. You do not let this open. You don't yank the leg open as you start doing this. This leg should move as a unit. So as I move this leg back and keep the leg compressed, the hip has to start sliding down, and then we set the person down and let them be, ask them if they're comfortable, is their back okay? There are arrows and warnings in our book. If their back's up the ground, it's fine if it doesn't hurt. If it hurts, we just back the leg out a little bit the way we came in. If the knee hurts at all, we could put a bolster or a pillow in there to support it, no matter where it's at. We just support them where they are, maybe give them a few palm presses and take a few breaths and just, you know, hey, we'll try this again next time. But if somebody's really comfortable here, you can really give them a few nice long deep presses there. So, but to go out the way we came in, and I'm sorry, also the foot should be out, like right angled, not tucked under the butt. This will help stretch the interior arch of the foot and less cramping of your client's feet. The more you try to tuck it under their hip, the more they tend to cramp, because not everybody's used to that. So out the way we came in, I'm holding the ankle, getting behind the hips so I can help lift the hips back to the spinal twist so that we can come out to shake this leg, to relax it. Shake it. There's circles in the book, so circles both ways. And then there's 3 more stretches. Straight leg series. So all of those were bent, about 5 stretches and bent, and now we're going to do 3 stretches straight. So in the book here, we come in and try to keep this leg as straight as possible. So I'm underneath, holding the leg straight, and I'm starting to rise up. I'm going to come up into a lunge maybe to support this leg. And as I come up, I can hold the toes a little bit more. She's breathing. And this is good. But I will say that not a lot of our clients can do this. So in the book, there's alternate poses that start here. And you can simply do some forearm rolls on the foot. And from the side, I call this a little bit of like a tea kettle. You can see holding the heel up the forearm. I'm on my knee. I'm in gate pose in yoga. And from here, I look like a tea kettle because I'm palming her thigh. So she gets stretch and tension of the foot, the calf, and then the palm and the thigh. So many different things going on there. But then as somebody loosens up, I can stand up towards triangle pose. And this leg can keep coming up, 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 until maybe one day we can stand and give them a forearm press on that foot up there. So straight leg, coming down. Out to the side, it looks like more like triangle pose. So we walk the foot out into where we see that leg come more into alignment. So we can see that I'm restricted right now by my space. So I'm going to stop here. I might go further on the other side. But this is just simply taking it out to the side. I'm lunging. And we're going to press this leg, palm it out. Give it a little stretch, maybe a little palm. Gently maybe tugging on the outside. And then I'll show that again on the other side. So I'm lining up her right leg so that I can cross over her body with this leg. Revolve triangle. I'm coming to drop a knee down. And like the Matrix, we're going to bring her leg around super straight. And now I'm in a lunge. Okay, so this is my left leg. Her foot is caught on mine, and I'm going to come up. Okay, so this is going to be a combination where you're going to want to look at the book. I'm going to stretch her leg simply, you know, combination look at the book and trial and error. I'm going to have to do this again on the other side, but I'm just simply stretching her leg, kind of palming it out in this position, then bringing it back. So now we have kitty assistance as well. So straightening her out, just straightening her clothes out, always making sure that they're comfortable and their energy lines are straight. I'm going to do this on the other side. So coming to the right leg, we're going to see how this goes. I don't want to be too much in the way. All right, so again, I'm well aware that some you can see better one side than the other. Maybe it's just the verbal that you'll need. So coming to the outer corner of the knee, palming it out. Again, kind of going in as far as lines 1 and 2, and then maybe a bilateral press. They can accept a little bit deeper pressure. And now I'm going to be moving a little bit more quickly for this one. So coming through to the midline, not just dropping into the bilateral hip stretch, but going ahead and palming my way up, and then gentle stretches on the way out. Okay. Now sitting back in alignment with the hips, I'm going to take this foot, my left foot, to her right leg, opening up 90 degrees, okay, from her torso to her thigh, means that I have to scoot over in order to get my right foot in place. So again, we hold under the foot, because if we held on top, it could fall out a lot easier with somebody larger than us. But then underneath, supportive, and again, we stretch the leg open to expose line, inside line 3, that we are palming, now with our foot, okay? And then, as it's warmed up, that center line right between the hamstrings might take on a good heel press. So, all the way up towards the sit bone, making our way back down, okay? Palm it out again, walking our feet towards the midline. We're going for foot sandwich. So across the legs there, I'm coming up to reach. So depending on our own structure, a lot of times people have to spread their legs so that they can get a hold of it. So I can kind of lean over my legs, but if you need to spread your knees so that you can reach, you reach for that outside one, pull towards you, and bring it back. So again, to anybody who's watching this just randomly, this is being done for class and with a book, in conjunction with a book. So I'll leave that in the comments and notes section if you want to join along with that book, so you can see and understand more as to where we are. If it's natural for you to follow along, awesome. So I scoot back and away from that so that I can lift the leg up for our next move, leg traction. I have to move my foot into better position so that it supports better. It's more of like a cup with that arch of my foot. So underneath, with the foot pull, holding the malleolus, and again, this is like knee traction. I'm going to move my right leg out of the way a little bit. Mid-leg traction, and all the way down near the sit bone at the arch of my foot. Maybe I can get that femur on top of my leg. If not, we just lock onto that sit bone and lean back there. So this one's pretty good where my foot is straight up and her hip is popped up onto the top, and I feel her sit bone and that traction's all really good. There's some of these moves that the hips are still on the ground, that the foot's in there and it's just at the sit bone and we're leaning back. Sometimes that's all somebody can create. So traction, I'm coming out to shake that to relax. Okay, so let me see where we are. Come up to 90 degrees. So 90 degrees here. Hold it there. Excuse me. I think that I don't know. Well, we'll see. I'm just going to keep moving. I know you saw it a little bit better on the other side. So the rotation, I'm at 90 degrees to match her 90 degrees. My hand is under her knee, supporting it for those circles, both ways. And then the leg, again, the lower leg gets compressed if we have good knee health to the thigh. And with their breaths, we slowly sink in to the side torso and make sure that the knee is pointed towards the ear and the heel is pointed towards the hip. And then we're going to open up that foot. So this is a bent leg hamstring stretch. This isn't straight. So I'm replacing myself. Okay, a little bit more in line with her torso. My leg can support her leg, and then her foot has to go to my shoulder if we look at our book. So then we can slowly press the hips apart, thigh apart, hamstring stretch, bent leg, and then slowly, again, as they become more flexible, maybe their foot comes to the shoulder, and you grab the tissue of the foot, or maybe you get behind their foot and you're trying to straighten the leg, but it's not straight yet. So as that hamstring stretch is done, this foot comes into our hip crease as well. I didn't say that last time very well. As their knee comes out as a lateral diagonal, and so does mine. So then to support that, both legs, thighs, we're gently palming away from each other. Okay, we're just allowing some stretch to happen. Okay, foot across the body for a twist, whether it's the top of the leg or to the outside. We are watching their breath, and on their exhales, we're slowly allowing the hip to cross the body, knee to cross the body, the hip starting to go, the spine is starting to twist. But we don't want to just fall right into the spine. Again, the hips are usually what's more tight and holding the spine up. So concentrate your efforts there. And as we have spent a few breaths there, we're going to get to our runner's stretch and lunge. So I'm going to hold the hips, sacrum up, coming towards the foot here, grabbing the ankle, and again, keeping the leg compressed to the thigh as long as possible, keeping the foot out to the side, and we let the hips naturally then start to rotate. The knees, when we set the legs down, should only be about hip width apart. We don't want to take the leg so far out to the side, it's hanging out to the side. So if they're comfortable, we can gently palm. We can do a butterfly stretch from the hip, maybe palm it. Seems like this hip is a little tighter. And so that stretch, I'm going to take it out the way I came in. So back towards that twist, coming out and down to shake it out, and then some circles. You could be standing and stretching out your legs for this if you like. Otherwise, straight leg, hamstring stretch. We're trying to come up, making our way with that straighter leg, and maybe grabbing for the toes, making it a little deeper. Hanging out for a few breaths, and then out the way we came in. And now this one should swing out a little bit further. So now you can see I'm in a lunge where her foot is connected to my ankle, and I'm walking it out to the side. And as I walk it out to the side, this foot points up towards the ceiling or comes in line with her body. It's as far as we need to go. I can even use my own foot as a kickstand there so that her leg doesn't come out of the way. Palm butterfly stretch, little palm press to open things up and back, and then bringing it down, aligning that leg, and again, revolve triangle. I'm setting myself down outside her knee, coming across. This leg is as straight as possible. I'm going to connect with a lunge, And we're looking to take this leg out, which I'm restricted again. So the sacrum is perpendicular, and we give this leg a little stretch. And we can palm that thigh, inside, outside. Try to keep the fingers attached, but again, don't wrap into any sensitive areas. And bringing it back. So, and then that is our leg yoga section. So, thank you so much. I'm going to take a break here because I'm going to need to flip her to do the arms and the torso that comes next. So, thank you so much.